Welcome back to NBA Cinema. So I want to talk about these Rudy Gobert takes, what Steven Jackson and Kendrick Perkins said today. Now we're gonna listen to those guys, and one of the things that I've noticed, throughout this series is how easily Jaden McDaniels and others are dying on screens, and this is happening at crunch time. On that last play, where they're showing on social media now, where he made the face like, I should have switched because he knew Rudy was about to get set up, for the game winner. They There has to be so much communication, right? Rudy has to call out the screen before it's coming and not switching everything is so overrated at times. Sometimes you just got to fight over the screen. It's better to take a reach in foul at that point in the game anyway, rather than letting Rudy Gobert switch on him. Because as a professional, it looked like he contested, but Luka just needed to see a little bit of daylight, and he was able to get the shot that he wanted to end the game. And if Rudy's gonna switch, you got to let him blow by you. You got to let him blow by you, and let him make a play. I seen a few times last game they forced Luka to give it up, and he passed to Daniel Gafford. Now Daniel Gafford made the pass to the wing, and it led to a PJ Washington three. But that's what you want. More times than not, you're gonna think that someone like Daniel Gafford has a better chance of making a mistake, making a wrong pass, over reading or whatever it is, and making a mistake than you would Luka. So I think they did it at times in the game, but dying on the screens is going to kill their season tonight if they continue to do that. You have to fight over the screens. You have to be physical with Luka Doncic. You have to press him up the court, make him turn his back a couple times. I would love to see them play a little smaller with Kyle Anderson because I think at his height, he could guard Daniel Gafford and those guys the way that you need to guard them, and he also can switch. If you're going to switch everything, then you have the perimeter length to do so. So there's no need to continue to play Rudy Gobert, who's basically 4-on-5 on offense, and he's not even as coordinated with his lobs when the guys get in the paint. I've seen him fumble some lobs. But as far as his defense, right, he should not be covering Luka late in games. And I covered why Nas Reed and Cat did a better job than Rudy Gobert on Jokic in the previous series in the previous video. Go check that out. I broke it all the way down, but we're about to listen to what they had to say. Let's speak.
Say this. I have the biggest regret in my media career, and Molly, I'm retiring. UD, Shannon, from voting for individual awards, regular season awards, because I have done a disservice in using my voting rights. Me voting this season for Rudy Gobert, okay, is an embarrassment for me for Defensive Player of the Year. He's the first player that we see every single time in the postseason that becomes a defensive liability. Don't come give me these analytics. Don't come giving me these plus-minus stats because that's the most overrated stat in the NBA. When I look at Rudy, he has tarnished the Defensive Player of the Year award. He has. He's not respected by his peers. We saw what happened to him in the Denver series. He couldn't even guard the person at his position. Karl-Anthony Towns did a better job at that. What is he doing right now? When you look at this series right now, do you understand, do we realize that Rudy has 3 blocks in 3 games? He's averaging 1 block per game at 7-3. Unacceptable to say he's a 4-time Defensive Player of the Year. Okay.
What up, world? Coming from Partly Cloudy Studios. Just my take on the game last night. I really feel like Rudy did the best he could. This is the 4-time Defensive Player of the Year on the switch. Luka taking a fadeaway 3 to win the game. You can't be mad at that. One, there's too much of this in the league anyway. Guards dying on screens. I was a defender, and I learned from Greg Popovich and some of the best. If the screen not that serious, especially at the end of a game, you don't need to switch, especially if you know it's a big. Jaden didn't even have to switch because the screen wasn't that serious. You got to talk that out. You know what I'm saying? In the timeout before that, if the screen is not that serious, bro, I'm not gonna switch. Luka is the leading scorer in the league, bro. He gonna hit that shot over anybody. Anybody. I don't care who it is. But you want somebody more agile that can stay with him, that can kind of push him to to getting the two. Or even Rudy, if it's a screen, will you stay a little longer? If you got to throw that shit to Lively, so be it. At least you know the worst thing gonna happen is a two, or they kick it for a three. You know, like it's a lot of things could happen. But I disagree with Draymond, and I agree with Kenny. Luka would have hit that shot on anybody. He hit that shit on everybody in the league all year long. He's the leading scorer in the league. So it makes sense that he hit the shot. You know what I'm saying? He's one of them guys. To say Rudy didn't do a good job, I disagree with that. I think Rudy did the best he could. And he is a 4-time Defensive Player of the Year. Let's not forget that. He is a Hall of Famer as well. He will be. So, you know what I'm saying? He did a great job. If I got to deal with a switch and have my big man make one of the best players in the league, the leading scorer in the league, take a fadeaway three after making a couple moves, I'll take that. On another note, Karl Anthony Towns, you got to get on the block. Because if you don't get on the block, what's about to happen is the way Nas Reed playing, they're going to be shipping you out of there this summer. Nas Reed is balling, and you got P.J. Washington and all these guards guarding you, Karl Anthony Towns, and you want to catch the ball at the three-point line. In my day, anybody 6'8", 6'7", even 6'9", Paul Pierce, Ron Artest, Tracy McGrady, Karan Butler, we posting up. We putting them in the basket. So I know you can do it at 7 foot.
So that was Steven Jackson's take, and I think that was after the first two games. But yeah, man, I think the dying on the screens that's really been killing them because you have two perimeter oriented guys and two highly efficient perimeter oriented guys. You got Kyrie Irving, as the number two option. I mean, that is, well, we saw what he was capable of as a number two option with LeBron James, right? And a lot of times it's kind of tricky to call him a number two option offensively, even though he is the second best player on his teams a lot of times. Um, Offensively and what he can create for himself, like it's not one of those things where you have to spoon feed him or that him playing off of the player that's deemed better always benefits him. He can create his own shot and go get what he wants based off of his skill set alone, whether that player's there or not. So I know what they mean by number two option, and I would say Kyrie is that, but I mean it differently because he's able to do some things that his number one options can't do offensively. That's why I say it's kind of tricky when you call in Kyrie a number two option. But I think, as far as, when he was in leadership roles in Brooklyn, he was in a leadership role in Boston. This is why he gets the number two label, which is, rightfully earned, right? But I think back to the point, I think, you cannot be dying on those screens. And Nas Reed can't be getting left on the island with Kyrie Irving so much in the game. Um, you have to allow those lobs to happen. Rudy has to be able to bait them into letting the ball leave their hands for the lob. He has to read it and just kind of float with the ball and at least get a fingertip on it, right? You have to make them commit to one of or the other. You have to show aggressively and then back off. It's so simultaneous. It's kind of hard to do at his size, but what option you have. Or when you show, like you're gonna have to show high. Now Luka can go around you with the bounce pass if you show too high, and that's the issue. So I think the player you have to leave open, and it killed him last game. But you have to just see if Derrick Jones can hit 50 points, or if he gonna make 10 threes, you shake their hand and go home. Um, PJ Washington can with his stroke. So I wouldn't necessarily want to give him shots. I mean, we may have to live with it some, if I'm Minnesota, but PJ Washington is comfortable making, 8 threes in a game wouldn't be uncommon, and that can send you on home. I would live with Derrick Jones making the 8 threes tonight. And I would try to shut everything else off. So that's where the help will come from. That's where my roaming defensive player will come from off of him. But you can't leave him too much because he's capable of being that lob threat too. So you do have to be aware of where he's at. The team is perfectly built. I was wrong, about the Dallas Mavericks and Luka's style of play. I thought, and no, I was right to some degree because with the roster they had, that was never going to work with Steph Curry and those guys. When you line them up with athletes, you had what is Luka weak at? Defense. What do you have on the floor at all the other positions? Even Kyrie Irving, he's engaged, and Ant Man is having trouble turning the corner on him at times. You have Kyrie engaged defensively. You have Derrick Jones Jr. that's comfortable with no plays ran for him and really digging in on the defensive end. You have Rudy Gobert. I mean, not Rudy Gobert. Derek Lively. You have Daniel Gafford. Um, Josh Green, 3 and D. Jaden Hardy has bought in to being 3 and D, and Jaden Hardy also is creating off the dribble a little bit. I've noticed that with him, going back to his high school days, All American days as a high school player. You know what I'm saying? Um, and now you have Dwight Powell and those guys further down the bench. They can provide a lift, but if you push him a little further down the bench as they have, then now he's into his rightful role. And I think role assignment with some of the guys who were getting key minutes early in Luka's career, they're able to be more bench depth now instead of guys that are counted on. And hey, we're seeing some very positive things from them. And they're definitely going to make the NBA Finals because I don't see Dallas dropping three straight games. I don't even see them dropping it tonight. I expect them to get it over tonight. Now, if they do lose tonight, they're probably going to be in a 6 game series. You know what I'm saying? So that'll cause them to get less rest. But sometimes it's better to keep playing, especially you get this far in the season because the Celtics could have too long of a layover if your series continues. So that's something to think about. But also Luka Doncic's leg and some of the issues he's been having, Gimpy being moving around Gimpy and really trying to get himself back to 100%. But it's been working for him on the offensive end. I'll say that. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Till next time, peace.